Hi, this is Amy Lewis with Cisco. I'm here for another episode of Engineers Unplugged. We have got two rock stars here today. We've got Jay Cuthrell and we've got Nick Weaver, and we're going to be talking about automation. So I'm going to hand it off to Jay and take it away.
Thank you very much, Amy. So Nick, we're going to go back and forth with this a few times, but let's really get down to the heart of it. You got a GitHub hoodie on. You're definitely rocking that out. I myself, I have some private repositories. Talk to me a little bit about what kind of repository action you're seeing these days.
Wow, that's an interesting question. I mean, so the only reason I'm wearing a GitHub hoodie right now, the real reason I'm wearing it is because there is a massive amount of great content that's community driven, that's driving cloud today. And I found a lot of problems I was starting to try to solve the last year was accomplished by reaching to the community and reaching out to others and collaborating, and much less locking yourself in a room or trying to deal with product teams that were on a different mission, right? And I think from a repo standpoint, I think connectivity-wise, the wiring between things and the meshing and the glue that holds bigger pieces together, I think absolutely, GitHub, open source community, collaboration, and especially in automation is a huge, huge, huge deal for us.
Yeah, so let me see that for a second. So let's say that this is a silo, like anyone you'd ever come across, and look at you with the redundancy in the backup ready to go. Absolutely. So if I've got this one silo, and this is traditionally how some of these commercial enterprise companies, product companies have pushed things out and made them available. I know we could talk about management, orchestration pieces, but just say we have a kind of a single code base right here. Talk about some of the benefits and the allowances that you get now when you start talking about these more open tools and collaboration and what takes place in these repositories. How many people are you really bringing into that mix?
Well, I mean, if you're going to draw this, I mean, this is a classical IT silo, right? And so this is normally where all the intelligence is driven, right? So we got people we hire in a group over here, and they're doing this thing. They're building this. And what's the number? Let's say it's 10, right? 10 guys are doing that. And the use cases they're brought are probably from somebody else, right? So I want to do this, this, and this. And so that's their whole world. That's their whole vision. But, out here, on the other side of it, what does that number look like? How many people are actually trying to build something exactly like that, right? And in this case right here, if you're a customer that's trying to build something for enablement, and that's a big thing I like to talk about with automation, is there's a difference in automation between trying to build intelligence to sell it and trying to build something that enables the technology, right? And there's a real large gap there. And part of it is, from a business standpoint, everything we're doing with technology is just an enabler, right? Ultimately, if I want a map service, or if I want a music service, or if I want biomedical services that make me live longer, or anything like that, banking services, the technology is an enabler to better my life, but it's an expense and a cost and something in between those two things at the same time. And so in this process here, we're trying to enable with this technology and build this, but over here we have a whole group of people that's doing the same thing.
So if this was a world, I mean, you're almost describing an entire universe. There's like planets, there's comets, there's probably some other things going through here. So you've got a lot more in terms of ecosystem or size.
Right.
So the sheer volume of requests, demands, needs, all those things really fall in here.
Right.
What do you think is going to be the great normalizer? What allows this to be possible? What is it standards? Is it objects that are reusable? Break it down for us.
I think it's even simpler than that. The secret is there is the idea of a common problem, humanity-wise, right? There's the idea of a common problem. For cloud right now, automation is a common problem. We have built these stacks that can accomplish these things, but it's very, very expensive and time-consuming for some of these to be built. Some areas are great, right? So some things have, for a certain portion of the stack, are now sold as ready to go from many different vendors, right? And then some things work up great here in the application stack, right? So if I was to erase my big mysterious block over here, you may have pieces here that look like this, right? Your standard stack of stuff. And some of these things work great from this guy, right? So I can plug this in and get tons of these, and they're great from this guy. But then this gets hard, and then this gets hard. But as a whole, this whole thing is just for this one simple purpose, right? That's cloud purpose.
Yeah.
If the community as a whole has this entire problem, utilizing them to actually contribute to fixing that is a really powerful message, right? And part of that with the GitHub idea is this, is like I may develop my secret sauce, right? So this is my magical box right here, right? And in my magical box, I've figured out how to do something really, really, really cool. I don't want people to know how I do that because I can't sell it and make money off of it, right?
Right.
But in the world where my magical blocks fits into this big puzzle, here's the square it fits into for what people are actually doing, I still want to sell the magical box, but then to get that working in there is a pain, right? But if I can utilize the community to expose out how this plugs in and expose out and be part of this ecosystem, which makes it very simple, common infrastructure, common choices, common frameworks, common patterns, and especially with the new modern automation patterns, then all of a sudden, not only am I able to deliver this to my customers sooner, but then I can deliver it to other places. And my contribution to these people versus their contribution to mine, we both benefit. And that's where you start getting the world of community and open source. It's not about taking the IP and giving it away.
Right.
It's about taking the IP and enabling it faster, which is the demand of cloud. Cloud demands. Like your phone, if you turn it on right now, if you had to call someone and spend a week with an IT department setting up your Google Maps, would you use Google Maps?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? Or it would cost too much to set up, and it's not a zero-sum game,
Or
right?
I'd enroll it on the table or something to that effect.
Right.
So if I was to extrapolate this particular storyline, what do you think the corporate equivalent of a pull request is going to look like in the future with this products sets?
Oh, I think you're seeing it now, but I think you're going to see it first in the service providers, the service integrators.
Yeah.
You're going to see it in the people that are doing it from a cloud layer and service delivery standpoint. You're already seeing tons of smart startups and medium-sized companies adopting community, adopting open source,
Right.
and enabling it that way because it gets them to market faster and does things they can't do internally.
Yeah. So talking about teams that are much, much larger than these individual old school ways of doing things. Right. What do you think if someone was an engineer, in ambition, they're just come out of college right now, they're thinking about what their next steps is, maybe they've been in management information systems, maybe pure computer science. What are the 4 or 5 things that you think are hot right now that, like, if I had the chance to go back and spend 2 years on a framework or an ideology or a language, what would that be for you?
So I do a lot of languages, and I'm not a snob on any one. I mean, I can tell you a couple really great ones to play with and learn. If you're doing what I'm getting into and working with right now, which is automation, the biggest things I recommend is get the next evolution of automation is getting away from the script. So the script is the 4,000 line long Unicode file, which the first time you run it runs wonderfully.
Right.
And what happens the second time you run it? It doesn't work. Or you do something different, or one guy changes a line and it breaks other stuff. And there's a difference between the DevOps developments that are happening with idempotent, immutable changes, state-aware changes, and the ability to change something, to rerun something, and have it be safe, and handle large scale versus the script. And that's the first thing I say is learn DevOps, learn Puppet, learn Chef, learn these declarative state machines that are able to actually handle vast changes, get away from scripts. The second thing I would say is if you're an infrastructure guy, you need to learn development. If you're a development guy, you need to understand the infrastructure domain. There's got to be a crossover of both worlds. So those would be the 2 things I'd add.
Gotcha. So do you think any of these folks coming out right now of school will ever have to deal with the concept of Ethernet drivers, dealing with a SCSI card, dealing with the lower level elements and pieces of infrastructure that we're increasingly taking for granted? Or do you think there's a place for that still?
I think there is, but not to beat up some of the vendors in the floor today, but I think there's going to be a lot more commoditization of it.
Right.
And things like open compute, and I think there's still going to be specialized IP for how to deliver things correctly, right? Support is an important issue. Yeah. But I think a lot of those things are going to be a lot simpler because the uniform resource is going to be simpler to consume.
Okay. So with that in mind, I think we're going to hand off the mic.
That was awesome. So automation, but I love the whole conversation about community and community driven and how that speeds up the process. Really interesting. So in that spirit, it's unicorn time. I think it's communal unicorn time. So what happens if you draw the unicorn faster? So let's see it. Unicorns.
Unicorn?
Go. Yeah. There's an eraser if you need it.
We're going to need definitely some room for the, they're going to.
Let me
Yeah.
hold on.
It's okay. We have the
Do not worry. Do not try this at home.
technology.
Yeah. Disaster recovery accomplished.
See, that's what happens when one man operates in a silo.
Disaster avoidance, we use an internal marker at the top, and you have to go through boards. It's really expensive.
Are you ready?
All right, ready?
Count us down.
3, 2, 1, go! 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 Oh, look at it! Look at this! Look at wait. It's unicorn time. Like we have never seen it before here on. Oh my! Are they fighting? What's going on? Is that the GitHub of unicorns?
Small unicorn. I don't have a lot of repos. He's got a lot of repos. So. Why don't we have blue? You have black. I mean, I've stylized the tail. This is the star to indicate power. This is the eye.
Okay.
That's the hook. And this is kind of like.
I can tell that Nick's got some kids at home because
I've got 3 daughters, so I know how to draw unicorns.
So what we've learned here, is if you're going to automate or go communal on a unicorn.
Yours looks like a crazy high heel shoe.
We are in Vegas, so. I'm not sure.
I really can't say any more. They've covered it all. So see you next week on Engineers Unplugged. Thanks so much, Nick. Thanks, Jay.